To talk to you about Robin Gibb, one of my favorite albums ever. How Old Are You? 1983. This is my second part of the video because hearing rumors that there's going to be a reissue, a box set reissue of this album and DVD. And so there's renewed interest in Robin Gibb's 1980s music. So I thought, well, I'm going to pretend I'm going to do the liner notes. And if I were to write the liner notes, what would I write? So this is what this video is about. First, I'd like to quote from this amazing article that I just received from Juke magazine in 1983. If my music on this album is well received, I hope it'll be on the merits of the songs. Robin Gibb, who never used gimmicks to get his musical message across, expressed this in Juke magazine, 1983. This was the time of the first and perhaps most meaningful renaissance of Gibb's musical genius. And the album, How Old Are You, certainly was well received around Europe, most notably in Germany. The single Juliet not only went to number one, a cover followed almost immediately by Andre Haas. There we go. But also, Robin's majestic new sound fared at number 4 for the entire year in the German charts. Italy, Switzerland and Denmark followed suit with the number 1 spot, and a whole barrage of countries welcomed Robin Gibb into the top 5 chart, including countries as far and wide as Uruguay and Zimbabwe, and most of the European nations, of course. But chart positions alone cannot portray an artist, at least not in historical terms. Robin Gibb was not just a BG, despite his insistence in press at the time. He was a quiet force in the synth-pop revolution, the 1980s. One that helped usher 21st century culture into the hearts and minds of the global mainstream. In the 1980s, he was a force of cultural momentum. This was at a time when USA and UK almost lost their cultural grip on global youth culture as European artists started to gain popularity, disrupting the pantheon of rock and roll subversion of the old cultural guard. As David Grohl says, Bee Gees do disco songs you can rock to. If it wasn't for Robin Gibb, where would the world be? He was part of the identity of the 1970s. The decade that was wedged in the middle between the world of television and radio and the postmodern technological age we find ourselves in the 21st century. Haunting melodies like Holiday, Black Diamond and Daytime Girl were part of a long string of masterpieces and smash hits that established the young Gibb brothers, the Bee Gees, as lush, dramatic pop icons the world over. It was no surprise then that in the 1980s Renaissance period, Robin's songs yearn more than just to love, but occasionally haunt and torment, creating the perfect storm in a world ready for the morbid darkness of new wave, dark wave, new romantic pop, exemplified by the likes of The Cure, The Damned, and others. Robin often professed his love for Genesis during the 80s. His solo effort was a way to take the attention away from a temporarily flailing Bee Gees career and towards the more contemporary electronic sounds. Genesis were a perfect template for his darkness because of the Pink Floyd atmospheric soundscapes compatible with human emotion. Robin took this template and made it all his own, a haunting reality of love, lust, loss, abandonment, and the freezing of time. That is expressed in the song Kathy's Gone. It may be a reality that simply doesn't exist except in the hearts of countless listeners. It ties us to our secret society where nobody can break us up, not even the end of the song. That is the best art can hope to achieve. As listeners and fans, we come to understand that the turmoil of the soul of the singer, who is tortured by love as he wallows in his hopeful delight. We understand his angelic vocalizations amidst dark apocalyptic verve. What was the magical ingredient of much of Robin's 1980s output? You cannot separate the house which Robin bought at the age of 33 and a third. That number is true, believe it or not. The house Robin finally felt at home for the rest of his life, it proved to be a force for the art itself. Named the Gatehouse, now I don't know how to say this, but Gatehouse of the Prebendal was fittingly coined by history. After all, Robin truly earned Prebendal, which is a revenue to a teacher of the clergy. This title was a fitting tribute to a man often thought as a disciple of spiritual teachings, his church being the 20th century pop music. The mansion was a haunted 12th century manor where Joan of Arc was executed. It housed the Bishop of Lincoln in the 13th century. In the 1980s, it was where Robin's servants reported seeing ghosts from day one. Even mystic friend of Robin's, Uri Geller, a guest on numerous occasions, could never decode the mysteries of the house and only seemed to add to them. This house is part of the fabric of the history of Britain. Robin, being one of the finest students of history, would not want to spend his life any other way. 1983's How Old Are You, in fact, coincides with Robin's move into this ancient castle. Is it then any wonder some of the most haunting lyrics and melodies ever witnessed happen to all reside on this album? An album that remained unappreciated yet revered by those in the know, viewed highly in the arsenals of obscure pop and rock euphoria. Only select few music fans and collectors hunt down as their holy grail of modern classic pop sojourn. Likely from Celtic origin, it remains the place of Robin's widow, who happens to have a lifelong involvement with Druidry. The house remains the home place of Robin Gibb forever. It is where his creative spark jumped up a quanta of creativity. How Old Are You was a break from 13 years of creative solo silence. He loved his home so much he turned his history passion into a full-time hobby. He made a TV show with Leo Sayer all about the history of Britain, including his admiration of Churchill. And he turned the castle into a hobby, building an outdoor bath, designed lush gardens with matching bushes to go with his canine friend of the day. He could not even resist making his first proper solo video clip at the gardens before the gatehouse. Sweet Juliet. Everything about Robin was regal. He played the part of being a prince of pop, a gentleman like Freddie Mercury. Modestly. Considering that electronic music that invaded radio airwaves in the 1980s all started a decade earlier by Krautrock, the godfathers of electronica, the German nation were ahead of their time as to the direction of pop music at the dawn of the 21st century. In the USA, Britain and Australia finally understood the significance the German people had on global culture. Yes, before David Hasselhoff tore down their wall and gave them an appreciation of cheesy Euro trash pop, there was a time West Germans were one of the hippest nations on earth. Sure, you don't think about Germany when you think westernization or globalization, yet their tastes in music, their preference for darker, more obscure alternatives, the likes of which gave rise to the 1980s, Kraftwerk, but also Japan, Roxy Music, Gary Newman, to name but a few, is to say Germany was the quiet partner in the globalization of 21st century culture. And finally, perhaps the people who gave us Krautrock would award Robin Gibb as the best dark artist from a year when he ranked number 4 in competition with Prince, Madonna and Michael Jackson. His 15 minutes of being a king of sorts. Thanks for listening to my video.